Story 1. I am seriously contemplating divorcing my husband over a prank. I'm sorry it's a long event, but I honestly feel so much rage. My husband and I are both 32 years old with a 6-week-old baby. We have been together for 7 years. Pranking each other has been something we do, especially early in our relationship, as a bit of fun. He has been known to take them too far at times, and I don't know what to think. Since I've been home with baby, he has continued playing pranks, and my tolerance is very low between sleepless nights and all the hormones. I find myself absolutely raging at him for these pranks. And he tells me I am being too serious, I'm no fun, and I am a, I quote, chronic overreactor, whatever that be. 3 pranks in particular have angered me to the point of tears raging out, and now I'm contemplating divorce. Prank 1 was making coffees for our guests with my breast milk. I'm having trouble pumping, so I don't have much stored away. I was so angry and embarrassed. Prank 2 was pretending to have cut his fingers off in the garden. He dragged it on for ages too and put fake blood around. Not just a quick little joke. And lastly, prank 3, which happened today and I feel is my final straw. Last night I was thinking about breakfast in bed, so this morning he brought me coffee, toast, and some chocolates. What I assumed was peanut butter on my toast was in fact our baby's poop. And as I have severe sinus issues, I didn't realize and took a small bite. I spat it out straight away. He laughed hysterically and I told him to get out. He later messaged me and said all his workmates thought it was hilarious, which is just embarrassing on top of it all. I am just so angry, hurt, and sad, but also I don't feel myself yet after having my baby, so I don't know, am I overreacting? Would you consider these pranks way too far? They aren't the only ones. The ones that have caused massive fights. Also sets of alarms while I'm sleep deprived as it is, etc. Story 2. My wife is a very kind person, but her actions irritate me, and I am contemplating divorce, and everyone is in shock, calling me out as a bad husband. I'm not sure where to put this, or if anyone else can relate, or perhaps it's just a personal issue of how I am perceiving things. Backstory. My wife is 46, and I am 48. We have been married for only about 5 years. When I first met her, she is the sweetest person, has a very angelic voice, great personality, amazing person overall, and she looked great. I should have probably questioned why she was still unwed at 40, but I too decided to marry late, so who was I to judge? Now I should have looked and carefully considered better. When dating, I gave her a lot of slack due to her mature and calm demeanor. Where else could I find such a lovely woman with a kind personality? But it really stops there. Her kindness does not bleed into her everyday actions or even routine. She would text me a lot of "Good morning, love, I love you, hope you have a great day," heart emojis, funny memes, etc. It was nice interacting with her. She had a lot to say, but they were mainly all neutral or positive stories. No red flags there. The red flags began when we moved in after marriage, and I was under the assumption that a 40-year-old woman knew how to take care of herself and the house, or at least do her part. She often would whine and complain in bed about things that could easily be fixed if she just got up to walk 5 steps and do it. But instead, I am treated like a butler and not a husband. She would continue to be very friendly and cordial to everyone, and so people love her. But I do not love living with her. I do not love her actions or lack thereof. I don't mind helping around the house. Of course, I have been doing it for 40-odd years of my independent life. But when I come home from work, I do want to continue working. Some other examples. She leaves the trash out constantly, never ever once takes anything out. I once left town for 3 days and came home to a house full of flies. Yes, I am not exaggerating. But she cheerfully ran up to hug and say sweet things, so I kind of dismissed it. Again, she is nice, but over the years, it started to feel manipulative. I grew very confused, with a gnawing feeling in my chest and stomach. Why did the woman I marry irritate me so much? Why was living with her so unbearable? Because I do love talking to her and love the intimacy and everything in between, but how is living with a woman this amazing so miserable? Her inconsiderate actions have been confronted before. She does not change. She also leaves little small notes around the house asking me to fix this, do this, etc. Yet, she does not work. She used to part-time. She does not cook. She only takes up space and air. This is what irks me the most. An adult grown woman with no kids cannot take care of the basic necessities herself. I also do not ask much of her. I do a load of laundry at least once a week, so nothing piles up. I take care of the garbage, shopping, errands, mortgage, cars, credit cards, all of it. I do not ask her to even cook me dinner. I'll bring home takeout most days. She seems utterly clueless about everything, even FedEx and UPS. She texts me the most basic questions asking where their address is. If only she had Google. Vacations are a nightmare because she becomes a liability who I have to constantly watch over. She once almost fell off a ledge. I do not feel relaxed around her because I know she's going to do something weird or stupid. However, again, she is a lovely, friendly person to me, my family, friends, etc. She is cheerful, doesn't nag often, is generally upbeat, has a cool personality, and when I hear stories of husbands dealing with nagging or bickering wives, I feel grateful for mine, at least in the moment. Am I being manipulated by my wife's sweet words? She says she loves me, but I really do not feel it through her everyday actions. On special occasions, she would make something nice, but that's about 3x a year. I just don't get it or know anymore. I feel like she is those fake two-faced people at work who are super nice to your face, but deep down they hate you. I feel like she hates me most days and punishes me more by leaving more trash out. On the outside, she seems and looks like a perfect woman wife, but nobody else has ever had to deal living with her. Story 3. I, female 28, kicked my husband out of the house in a fit of rage, contemplating divorce over revelations about his brother's past. Am I overreacting? I'll try to be brief. I'm still fuming. My husband, male 29, comes from a big family, 4 brothers, 2 sisters, raised by a single mother for the most part. The youngest of his siblings is Jay, male 19. In the 6 years I've known Jay, he's always seemed awkward and a little too quiet and socially inept. I have always had a special fondness towards Jay because he's such a sweet person, and I was a little awkward growing up myself. Jay has been struggling with some classes, and I've been helping him. My husband took me on a special dinner night to thank me for this, and it was there that he revealed why Jay sometimes struggles. Apparently their dad, who is now dead, left their mom over accusations that Jay was a product of infidelity. He was not, but their dad was super paranoid about infidelity and treated his wife like property. The father started abusing Jay when Jay was as young as 2, beating him. He left shortly thereafter and passed away a few years after that. The abuse didn't stop there. My mother-in-law picked up where the father left off. The beatings and abuse is too graphic and unspeakable for me to detail it here. It's disgusting and inhumane. My husband said that all the siblings took part, including himself. When I could no longer listen to the details and the extent to which my husband participated, I asked him why and how he could do those things. He went into full-on defense mode when he saw how furious I was and said they were told he was not their brother. Like, that's a valid excuse? He said the family buried it and doesn't talk about it. Jay started defending himself at about 13, and the abuse stopped then. I asked him if anybody had apologized to Jay. He said he doesn't need an apology, that he just needs to forget. And in time, he will. Since that night 3 weeks ago, I have been unable to be affectionate in any way towards my husband. It's like I went from totally in love to totally repulsed by him. He's suddenly somebody I don't even know. I honestly don't know why Jay has chosen to stay around all these animals, and I'm disgusted with myself for marrying one. Last weekend we had a backyard cookout, as we often do. Most of his siblings were here. Jay knocked over a pitcher of iced tea. He's a little shaky and a little clumsy, but it was an accident, obviously. My mother-in-law went off and started berating him and called him an idiot and a few other names. She started to berate him about his hands and how they shake so much, and told him to get control of it and stop shaking. I gave my husband a look like, hey, jump in here. He didn't do anything. I lost it. I went completely crazy on her and told her that maybe if she hadn't beat him and other things. At this point, my husband jumped in and told me to take it easy on his mom. I told her to leave, and she told everybody to leave with her. Jay only stayed because I practically begged him to stay, but she told him to leave too. I tried to talk to my husband about what happened and why I went off. He told me to mind my own business about his family business. I told him to leave at this point. He reluctantly left and has been calling and texting me nonstop to forgive him. Edit finally heard back from a friend I had emailed. She's a counselor. She told me I actually victimized Jay by bringing up the abuse that Friday night. She says I should have simply stood up for him for what happened that night. She says I should apologize to him for that, and I will tonight. She also said it's probably going to be the first and only apology Jay ever gets that's even remotely related to all the abuse he suffered, so be ready for anything. I'm picking him up at his friend's house tonight. His mom kicked him out over what happened. Everything is happening so fast now. My parents have stepped up big time and offered to move him in. My dad is going to teach him how to drive and help him get his DL. He's going to give him his old car that nobody drives. Now, we just have to convince him to accept our help. Haven't read all your comments, but I will. Just things are happening fast. I need to keep up. I know my kids will be fine. Right now I'm in full Get Jay help mode. I have not read all your comments, but I will. Thank you all. Oh, I almost forgot. I spoke to my husband on the phone finally. He thinks he's going to talk his way back. I asked him why his mom kicked out Jay. He said he had no idea what I was talking about. He didn't know. Jay told me that my husband has been staying at his mom's, and he was there when Jay was kicked out. I will file divorce. No chance I'm taking him back. Edit. Some of you have asked about the details of the abuse. I left them out to spare you. Something inside you breaks when you hear the details of what they did to Jay. I wanted people to read this and not have to visualize it. Horrible and tragic are not big enough words. Edit, sorry. I can't respond to every comment, and thanks for some kind words. But just to add some clarity to some questions I keep seeing. No, he has no remorse, nor does he think an apology is needed. He also feels no therapy is needed for anybody, just time to heal. But at the same time, he acknowledges that Jay's shaking and struggle are a result of his abuse. I don't get this contradiction, but I will get therapy for myself as well and try to get more answers. Also, yes, my dad is pretty awesome. I knew he would spring into action if I just talked to him. My mom is great too. I knew dad would get her to sign on as well. They like Jay, and they had reservations about me marrying my husband, but that was for other seemingly petty reasons at the time. I swear in my life that I did not know my husband and his family had the secret. I only knew that they all seemed normal, but Jay was clearly damaged. He is very sweet-natured, but you can tell he has endured some things. I always wanted to get close to him and try to understand him, but I never would have guessed. Too long. Didn't read. My husband participated in disgusting, inhumane abuse of his youngest brother. I want a divorce. I think I want him in jail.